let us all do we can to build a better future.
I believe in free speech. I believe in independent media. I don't like the idea that corporations control our media. And whenever there's been a situation where a content creator on YouTube or a colleague of ours was censored on Twitter, Hard Lens Media, being consistent as we always have been, stood in solidarity with our colleagues who have been censored, even with people we may not agree with, be they conservatives or libertarians. I believe in free speech. But before Elon Musk bought Twitter, there were a lot of people, especially amongst the left and liberals, the vote blue, no matter who crowd specifically, and those who have Trump derangement syndrome, who can't think critically for themselves, always cheered and danced when someone was going to get censored or silenced. And what I would always say on the show is, don't be surprised if people are one day silent or dismissive if you are censored or suppressed, if you are kicked off of social media. And the problem is a lot of these people who are with these large media outlets like the Washington Post, laying off a lot of people. Sorry. I'm a little angry with the Washington Post due to their ridiculous smear piece that he did to Eliza Blue. And if you're not following Eliza Blue on Twitter, please do so. She has been a strong advocate for survivors. She is somebody that I would call a hero. So she's been doing phenomenal work. Then you have outlets like CNN and New York Times, BuzzFeed, all these outlets that were always quick to cheer when someone they didn't like was censored. And usually the people who were being silenced were progressives and independents, people who were calling out the military-industrial complex or the ridiculousness of the two-party system. And yes, conservatives and libertarians were also censored too. And now it's coming full circle as Elon Musk is now calling, or has, at least under his command, under Twitter, there have been a lot of journalists that have been, suspended off of Twitter. So let's pull up this video here. Shot again, the case study QB, who is wrongly still being censored by Twitter. I really don't like what's happening to him, but there you go. Hopefully that will be fixed, Elon. So let's play this video here. And if you're not following Case Study QB, please do so. He's doing phenomenal work.
Hey guys, the rumors are true. I have been permanently suspended by Twitter. I was given zero reason, only had 3 tweets on my account. Super crazy. Elon seems to be banning anyone he disagrees with. And I certainly didn't violate any terms that I was aware of.
You got to love the background music on that as well. So Lorenz, by the way, was reinstated just a short time ago, but all of this following this week in which Musk suspended several other journalists who had reported on an account that tracks Musk's private jet. And one of them joins me now, independent journalist Aaron Rupar. Aaron, it's good to talk to you on this. It seems as at this point, it's a badge of honor to get suspended on Twitter by Elon Musk. I feel as if I've been overlooked. Like I should be insulted now that I haven't been banned yet. Walk me through.
Okay, first of all, she's laughing her ass off saying that she hasn't been banned or censored. Just smiling, ha, 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 ha. Now, remind you, and I'll just remind all of you, a lot of these journalists and pundits, these blue checkmark people, they had a very cushy gig, and they can at least not worry about being suspended for too long. Now, those in independent media, be they, again, progressives or independents or libertarians or conservatives, a lot of people don't have that luxury. For a long time before Elon Musk bought Twitter, losing your Twitter account, especially those amongst us of independent media, is a death blow, because that's how we communicate with our audience and supporters. That's how we communicate with our colleagues in independent media. Same thing. It's just as devastating when a YouTube channel is silenced, censored, and suppressed. Look at what happened to Slow Newsday's YouTube channel and Convo Couch. They've been wrongly censored, shadow banned. I mean, Hard Lens Media, we're still somewhat here, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're still getting shadow banned, and people are still private messaging me saying, hey, I was unsubscribed or I'm not being notified. And it's one thing for these people to cheer about it, but this is far more serious. And look, the actions of a lot of these journalists who got their accounts censored, again, these were the people who were cheerleading for others to be censored. I'm against censorship. And I do have to call into question how Elon Musk has been running this and now going after these said journalists for being censored too. It doesn't feel so good, but again, as I've said on the show, I always felt like, again, it's going to keep on getting worse because the censorship is all too real, especially those in independent media.
Through, Aaron, if you will, the last couple of days, how it all went down. How did you find out first and foremost that you were suspended?
Yeah, it's been a really crazy few days. Last Thursday, I was playing on the floor with my 7-month-old when I started getting messages on Instagram and texts and emails from people telling me that my account had been suspended on Twitter, which I was shocked to hear that and kind of disbelieving at first. But sure enough, I pulled up Twitter, and at the top of my feed, there was a notice that my account had been permanently suspended, just like, Taylor's apparently. That turned out not to be the case. I was reinstated a little bit over 24 hours later, but in the meantime, it became this huge international news story. Friday, I spent a lot of time doing TV hits internationally and domestically, and it's brought more attention to my work, I think, than I've probably ever received. So in the short term, at least for me, it ended up being a net positive. But of course,
Yeah, he's a net positive because he's a part of a machine, part of an establishment machine. And again, it's okay for him and his other colleagues. Take, for example, everyone's mentioning Taylor Lorenz, shout out to Fred Edward, is a social media commentator, not a truth facts-based journalist. Careful, Fred Edward. She might do a hit piece and start crying on how you bullied her. And it's quite hilarious because the same Taylor Lorenz who was all on board for other people to be silenced, censored, and suppressed. Folks, what I fear this will do is, again, cause people to not look at the bigger picture. Censorship of any type on all these social media platforms is never the answer, and it caused people to have tunnel vision. And there have been a lot of people who right now, especially they recently voted on a poll that Elon Musk posted up. Should I step down as head of Twitter? I will abide by the results of this poll. And already a lot of the latte drinking liberals were more than happy to tweet on this and vote on it too. But let's continue on with the rest of the video.
The broader story of what's happening to Twitter is really disconcerting.
What do you make? I mean, what do you make of Twitter, right? We could talk about that for 17 hours as to what's happened to Twitter since Elon Musk has taken over. But of his relationship with journalists, I believe yesterday he tweeted out something like, not all journalists are bad, but a lot of them are. Something, I'm paraphrasing it, but something to that effect, right? He has this incredibly kind of strained, it seems, complicated relationship with journalists. And Lynette Lopez, who reports...
and I can't blame him for that, all right? There are a lot of bad journalists out there because they work for corporate media like CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, Fox News, who all have their own agenda. And we'll be covering this later. But corporate media has played a phenomenal role, and don't get these words twisted, a phenomenal role in keeping us divided, keeping us against each other. Corporate media, working at behest of its corporate donors, has split America in two. There's Team Red and Team Blue. You have people who vote Democrat. You have people who vote Republican. You have so many communities divided because corporate media is spewing a lot of division and toxicity. Yes, real toxicity. The toxicity that keeps us all blind to the fact that we're being robbed by the two-party system, that corporations, banks, Wall Street executives own our politicians. And what has corporate media done also to keep us in the dark? They lie to us about third parties. They lie to us about what we can do at the state level. They lie to us about the fact that our corporations are, again, gutting and bleeding Americans dry. They lie to us and ignore the fact that there is an ongoing housing crisis here in America, that there's a massive poverty that's happening here in America. And yes, maybe occasionally corporate media will do its job and maybe cover these stories, but they won't go into full depth. They won't show you who the culprits are. And these journalists, they do know. But then they also, a lot of them, let's take, for example, a guy named Ryan Grimm, for example, are more than happy to carry water for people who are in the progressive, or at least who are Democrats claiming to be progressives, as they carry water for them and deflect any kind of criticism towards them. So Elon Musk is not wrong. There are journalists out there. Yeah, there are some good ones, but there's a lot of bad ones out there that purposely mislead and keep people in the dark about how our system is designed to keep us divided and unable to do anything. And again, I'm really impressed with what two-party system and corporate media have built because it's been going on for so long. I'm just waiting for the day when a majority of Americans wake up to the fact that for decades we've been lied to
a lot
by people that we're supposed to trust.
On Tesla specifically, still remains banned from Twitter, and has actually said never even tweeted about the location of Musk's jet, although is banned, and that was the rationale behind him saying he banned journalists.
Yeah, it really does seem like people who have been critical of him are kind of being targeted at this point. I should have mentioned probably in my previous response, the reason that I was to a Facebook page that has been tracking Elon's jet, that page was banned from Twitter. And so as kind of a service to my followers, I just pointed out, hey, if you want to still follow this account, you can over on Facebook. And this was construed by Elon Musk as doxing him and endangering his family for reasons that still remain quite unclear. The other thing that all of us had in common who were banned last week is that in one form or another, we've been critical of Musk, whether that's how he runs his companies or his handling of Twitter. And so the other thing is that the tweet I posted that got me banned did not violate Twitter's terms of service when I posted it. It was only hours later that Musk changed the terms of service to prohibit linking to sites like the one I did. And so I think really the lesson from that is he can find reasons to ban you. And if you're critical of him, he might do that.
Aaron Rupar, thank you. Glad you're back up.
So there's a problem here with that statement. That is, well, that happened to a lot of other people in independent media before Elon Musk got into power. So meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Nothing fundamentally changed. So the thing is, this should have been addressed before Musk ever bought Twitter. Hell, I wish Jack, who's been probably sleeping at the helm for most of his time running Twitter, I wish maybe he had maybe 2 functioning brain cells to address the fact that the people he put in charge or who are running things underneath him, maybe if he decided to not take a break as much, he'd realize that a lot of his underlings were helping to create the environment that we're all so familiar with, which is absolute censorship, absolute suppression, silence, people being banned, being kicked off, suspended. It's easy to vilify Musk, and what Musk has done, it's not right, but already happening before he got into power, and that's already happening on other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, I could talk hours on end about what's wrong with YouTube and how we have been silenced, how we had to face off against not 1, but 7 YouTube strikes that nearly derailed our entire operations. And if we're not for our colleagues in independent media and you, the viewers, I don't know where we'd be at right now. So I want to pull up this next video here. And it's from Case Study QB, and it has to deal with everybody's favorite on the point progressive Democratic lawmaker. I'm talking about someone who has courage. Let's talk about Ro Khanna discussing Elon Musk suspending accounts on Twitter. I know, Ro Khanna, what the hell has he got to say? I'm pretty sure he's going to be consistent. He's not going to, backpedal or sound like a complete jagoff. So let's find out what exactly is going on.
Account tracking the jet. This is one account. And I actually want to start here a little bit bigger than that one account, but I do want to ask you about that. But first, just the bigger picture. Are you concerned about what this means for what Twitter under Elon Musk will look like? That he's now realizing he has the power. He's the god of Twitter. He can decide every account here and there and who gets to speak and who doesn't.
Yes, I am concerned. I mean, he gets to make the rules, and it doesn't seem consistent. I mean, look,
and there have been people who have been calling for the government to be more involved in social media, even before Musk got into power on Twitter, even before Musk decided to buy Twitter. There have been individuals beforehand who wanted to be in control and have that kind of power. So just a note, and I'm just going to say this, it's going to be a controversial statement, but all these people who, hate Elon Musk or hate Trump, all these activists and organizers that just lack critical thinking, honestly, if they were even given a fraction of the kind of power that Trump or Musk has, or even full power, they'd be just as bad. They would be just as bad. They'd be quick to silence and censor, or ignore any kind of criticism. I mean, I wonder if Ro Khanna is going to talk about the previous people running Twitter, in which they allowed dangerous material to go on unchecked. Shout out again to Eliza Blue, who's speaking truth to power. Hey, Jack, you ever going to address that? I wonder if O'Connor's ever going to address that too.
Defending the idea of free speech and that we shouldn't have censored the New York Post. But you can't then censor someone who's tracking private flights. So I hope they'll reconsider it. But the bigger issue is there has to be some independent body. There can't be just Elon Musk making the decisions of which account to suspend and which account to have on.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. They've come out with, all of these revelations.
Oh, and one other thing here, too. Thank you so much for bringing that up, John Kemper, here in the live stream chat. How many times they're going to call him God, the devil? Elon Musk is not a god. There you go. Everyone get that through your head, all right?
As they say about who was deciding what at Twitter. And maybe there were some mistakes, imperfections, right? But at least there was a system you could kind of go through and look at it in retrospect, as opposed to just one person's brain and what they want to do. Now, on the Elon jet.
Now, I wonder if she's ever going to talk about, again, how the previous people of Twitter, and again, I got to be careful how I word this. That's why I say to all of you, please follow Eliza Blue on Twitter. I wonder if good old CNN, same network that had a streaming service that went broke in a month. I wonder if they're ever going to talk about how, some dangerous, questionable material was allowed to be on Twitter for so long unchecked. Probably not. They won't do it because everyone in the liberal latte group are always so quick to defend how things were before Musk or Trump. Corporate media won't do that.
Right. So there's the last tweet before that account was suspended showed Musk's jet taking off from Oakland on Monday, landing in Los Angeles 48 minutes later. Another day, he flagged the jet taking off from Reno, flagging that it's heading to Oakland. This is very detailed. So everywhere Elon goes was on Twitter. He ran accounts like Bezos Jets. We know who that was tracking, Celeb Jets, other celebrities, where they were going.
And I got to say that account doing that, that's a recipe for disaster. I'm sorry. It's that tracking. It's just as bad. No one should be doxxed like that. It's not good. And it's kind of frightening when you really think about it.
Okay. Sweeney says this is all publicly available.
Yeah.
But publicly available is different from easily accessible. So does it cross a line, or does Elon have a point that putting his private jet and everywhere it goes, that he's changed his mind and says that's a threat?
Well, look, they put out my personal email address, so
that's true. They did not.
So I don't think they've been that sensitive to personal information. But I think that if you're going to believe in the First Amendment principles, you've got to be consistent. And having public information out there, as long as it's not an imminent threat to safety, should be on there. Now, if he is saying go take some action against Elon Musk or someone, that's different. That's a threat to safety. And I would agree that shouldn't be on there. But then I just looked this before coming on the show, Aaron Rupert has been banned. Aaron Rupert criticizes me all the time. He takes.
All right. So here's something I do want to bring up here, though. No, nothing was stated on that Twitter account, but there are a lot of unstable people out there. And they don't need to be told by Twitter or anything else. There's a lot of other people on social media that have, again, bad ideas and so much more. Like I said, the doxing of that information is not cool, and if it's just a recipe for disaster. You may not like these politicians or CEOs or actors or actresses, but no one should have their privacy out there to that kind of level and extent. And I get everyone's a public face. I get that, when you become someone that's at the center of the public attention, you're never going to have absolute privacy. But again, it's a recipe for disaster.
My clips and distorts them.
Right. Yeah, I follow him.
But you can't ban that. So I think what this whole Twitter files are showing is that we don't have thoughtful decision making, and we have concentration of power in who's deciding what is speech.
Right. And also, I think one thing it's also showing is there are no easy answers. It's easy to say, I don't like how it's done. It's different to actually have to do it yourself and to take that mantle on. Now, one thing that Musk has been doing, though, is tweeting things that are they are things that are recognized by the QAnon community. Okay. And it's unclear why he's doing it or the context in which he's doing it. But the white rabbit, I don't know if you saw this week, he tweeted follow and then the little picture of a white rabbit. Now, I admit
Isn't it interesting how quick anything that Musk posts on Twitter, corporate media will quick to jump on it? It's all part of a plan. I mean, one, to get more attention to him. See, here's how you know that corporate media will be foaming at the mouth following the Trump campaign in 2024. They literally have nothing else better to do. Look, nothing has really fundamentally changed at Twitter. Yes, maybe things are coming to light in regards to how much of a crap show Twitter truly was under the previous management, and how much hands-off old Jackie, had on Twitter, and how he allowed things to become the mess that we now see it is, thanks to the Twitter files that's been dropped by Matt Taibbi. But this is corporate media following somebody, and there really isn't that much substance to it. Now, I know people will type in the comment section below and say, well, wait, journalists are being censored. Okay, but that's been happening even before Musk bought Twitter. So where's the panic? I mean, there is ongoing censorship. It's been going on before Musk bought Twitter, and who knows what's going to happen if he chooses to step down, but it's still going to be happening, because you're always going to have somebody put in power that doesn't like what a certain person is going to say. And that's a problem. This is why we need to have a lot of these social media platforms as public utilities. But that's a conversation perhaps for another day.
Saw that and was thinking, what the heck is this? Well, the White Rabbit has been linked to the QAnon movement over the past 4 years, and QAnon forums immediately picked this up. He's dismissed these allegations and said it was about something else. But a journalist who's an expert on QAnon that I talked to, Mike Rothschild, he says QAnon followers clearly saw this as tipping the hat. Look, Elon gets us. He's with us. What do you think about stuff like that?
Well, now, do you have proof or evidence that Elon actually did that or said that? I mean, he just probably did it to probably troll corporate media. This is how, again, you know that you could thank Bill Clinton for giving us this nightmare, the 1996 Telecom Act. I mean, right now you're being speculative, CNN. It's no wonder that your so fantastic CNN streaming service, CNN Plus, went down under in like a month.
I don't know why he's doing that. I mean, look, this is someone who actually has innovated with Tesla. He's innovated with SpaceX. Why he's getting in back and forths on QAnon and suspending accounts on Twitter, I mean, it seems a total waste of time. He should not be making the decisions on this. And it's concerning. I mean, it's concerning that he's putting this stuff out there. The tweet about Fauci and prosecuting Fauci.
Right.
I mean, whatever. Look, it's one thing to say, okay.
Yeah, and it's one thing to also shine a light on the fact is that throughout all of 2020 and 2021, numerous stories from COVID to Hunter Biden's laptop, mainstream media did everything they could to dismiss or repel any kind of criticism. They did everything they could to silence any kind of conversation about COVID. They did everything they could to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story and so much more. So, yeah. It's a little bit long overdue that we look at the last 2 years, now 3 years, because we'll be entering into 2023, in regards to how much of a crappy job corporate media really did and how it lied to people. And it should come as no surprise, especially to the vote blue no matter who crowd, that many Americans are no longer trusting these said institutions.
My pronouns prosecute Fauci, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say that you have the First Amendment right, but when you are one of the world's leading innovators, you also have some responsibility. And I just don't think it's not a good look for him. And I'd tell him that in person.
Okay, yeah, no, you wouldn't. You'd probably be foaming at the mouth saying, hey, Elon, I could use a big check. I'll say whatever you want because I'm a politician. And I foam at the mouth at corporate donors. And I do everything I say that the two-party system tells me to do. I'm in lockstep with the Democratic establishment. Hey, let's have democracy in the chat. I know, controversial statement, because what the hell is democracy? Type 1 if you think Ro Khanna would stand up strong and firm to Elon Musk and say, hey, Musk, you need to watch what you're saying, and you need to take responsibility. Type 2 if he'd probably get on his knees begging, hey, can I get a check? I promise I'll be a good boy. I'll do whatever you say. Let's find out what's going on.
Right. And you're telling him now. And obviously you are the congressperson who represents his district. Ro Khanna, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. So there you go. There you go. I accidentally removed myself from stream, so apologies for that, folks. So I want to pull up this image here as well, just before we do end this segment. And it has to deal with probably what lies in store for the future, because who knows if he'll actually follow through on it. Should I step down as head of Twitter? I'll abide by the results of this poll, and it's been voted on already. A whopping 57.5% saying, yes, step down. Probably a lot of brainlets from the Vote Blue No Matter Who crowd are happy to do that. But the thing is, okay, let's say he does step down. Who will replace him? That's how you know a lot of these liberals, especially those that hate Musk or Trump, they don't think ahead. They don't think, well, wait, if he's gone, what happens then? Just like how a lot of liberals decided to drink their mimosas after Trump was defeated. Where's that anti-war group? Where's the anti-corruption groups? Where are all those protesters and activists? Where are all those big people that were talking all this stuff about preserving our democracy and fighting for freedom and that things will no longer be asleep? Oh, yeah, that's right. They're no longer around. Again, similar to Trump, all these people that are hating on Musk, they would have no job and they would not be relevant if Trump and Musk were not around. And that's how you know, I for one, will not take a lot of these protests against Trump seriously if he chooses to run, because I've seen it before. This has the hallmark design of people not thinking critically for themselves, unfortunately. So, with that being said, as a final note for this story, I am against those journalists and people who were suspended off of Twitter. I was against them being silenced. I don't like that. But to what I have to say to them is, yeah, is this your first time? Because we in independent media have been dealing with this for years upon years, and you guys were the ones cheerleading it on the most.